Hi everyone, Ash here from the Equipment Guide, and this is our review on the best family camping tents in Australia. Today we're going to talk about a few different things. What advice we'd give to our best friend if they were buying a family tent, what you get for your budget, and we'll take you step by step through our reviews on what we think is the best family camping tent and why. So what advice would I give to my best friend? Let's talk about cabin tents versus dome tents. Cabin tents have a lot more headroom, so it's a lot easier to move around inside, which is what we prefer for family camping. So what size tent do I need? A tent like this, that is a 4-person tent, can comfortably fit 2 to 3 people. Whereas a tent like this, it is an 8 to 10-person tent. It does have the option to divide into multiple rooms and comfortably fit the whole family. However, the only downside is it is a lot bigger and bulkier to pack up, and it does take up a lot more room at camp. Another thing to consider is the pack down size of your tent. A tent like this one can be around 2 meters long once it is packed down. So you do need to consider when purchasing your tent what is going to be the best fit for you and fitting into your vehicle. And finally, the materials. Firstly, you want to be looking for a tent that has strong steel poles as opposed to fiberglass poles. And you also have the option of two different materials of tents. You've got a canvas versus polyester. A canvas tent is a lot heavier and holds a lot more moisture, so you need to make sure that it is completely dried out before you fold it up. A polyester tent, you just need to make sure that it does have high density polyester and that it does have ripstop. Okay, so how do we rank the family tents? We ranked each tent under 5 categories: comfort, construction, features, size, weight, and versatility. For full details, you can check our website. Comfort is the first category. This includes the layout, how livable it is, and how spacious it feels to us. There wasn't a huge difference between the tents, other than that some are bigger than others. The Zempire is the biggest we reviewed, and the BlackWolf Lite 240 provides great space for a touring tent. At the other end of the scale, the Oztent RV5 doesn't really have a symmetrical space, and there's a big bar running down the floor, so that's something to note if you're looking at that tent. Next is construction. Construction basically looks at what materials have been used and how well it's been crafted. Things to look for are your canvas or your ripstop and a higher gauge steel frame. Cheaper tents will often use a thin gauge frame and lower density materials, whereas a more durable tent will use a thicker gauge pole and strong ripstop material. So if you're specifically wanting to use a tent frequently or in rugged conditions, you'll want to go for tents like the Oztent RV5 or the BlackWolf Turbo Lite 240. Alright, now to features. So features looks at how easy it is to set up, whether it has good ventilation, if it has storage pockets, hanging hooks, and power access, etc. Again, for most of the top brands, there wasn't that much difference. They're either inflatable or have pop-up integrated frames. The OA Hanlu 4-person set up quickly but lacks a few features available in other tents like a power access point. And the OA Comfort Camper XL10 took a bit of time to assemble. Size and weight. So this primarily considers the floor space. Sleeping configurations, weight, and pack size were also considered. 8 to 10-person tents are naturally going to rank higher than 4-person tents in this category. So take low ratings here with a grain of salt because they may be offset in the versatility category. The larger tents are all pretty big, so unless you're trying to fit a family of 6, you can't really go wrong. With the Zempire giving the biggest floor space in our review and the Coleman 10-person Gold achieving great floor space at a lower price point. Note, in terms of pack down, the OA tents are the lightest weight while the RV5 remains 2 meters long, so it won't fit in the boot of a standard car. Finally, versatility considers whether you'd use the tent for family camping, touring, or both, and 4-person tents will usually rank higher there. The BlackWolf Turbo Lite 240 was a standout for us, as we'd happily use it for either touring or family camping. If you're on a budget, the Coleman 4-person is a great choice, but we wouldn't want to take it anywhere that's going to have severe weather conditions. Alright, the all-important budget question. There are always exceptions, but we can usually break it down into three main categories. Low range we consider to be for an 8 to 10 person tent under $400 and for a 4-person tent under $300. You may get some that are okay in this range, but usually you will get fiberglass poles and cheaper materials that may not last as long. Mid-range we're calling for an 8 to 10 person tent around $400 to $800 and for a 4-person tent around $300 to $800. You can get some really good tents in this range that are easy to set up and are made from good materials, but we find the quality can vary a huge amount between brands, so that means that sometimes a $700 tent isn't necessarily better than a $500 tent. High end we consider to be over $800, so if you're looking for the very best, that's how much you'll need to spend. Here, you'll get tents that are made of better materials, have more space, and are going to be more durable. So overall, this is where we landed. The blue columns are our rankings, and the orange dots indicate price, which you can see here on the right. For the 4-person tents, the BlackWolf Turbo Lite 240 was the best all-rounder. It's well constructed, you could easily use it for touring or camping with the family, and it's a spacious, clever design. In an 8 to 10 person tent, we love the Zempire. It's inflatable, so it sets up really quickly. It provides a massive space, so there's plenty of room for everyone. Even on a rainy day, you're going to be happy in there. Other notable mentions are the Oztent RV5. If you're looking for a pure touring tent, this is a great option. The Coleman tents also provide really good value for money. Okay, so that's it for our review. Full written reviews can be found on our website, and if it's helped you buy a family tent, please go on our website to donate and tell us what you thought.